left messages for as well. And then my good buddy Marispec South County is also sponsoring that too. So let's get to work. All right. So we're talking about initial prospecting in the sales process. That's right. So like this is I think the hang up, and as well as I think this is the area that is, think of it as call reluctance, except face-to-face reluctance. You know, the biggest thing is people don't know what you do. So it's know, like, and trust, correct? Like those are the parts of a sale. And to know them's easy. You shake your hand, but for some people that's not so easy. For me, it's not. Like I'm not naturally outgoing type of walk up to anyone person. That's more Kimberly. That's my buddy Woody. There's just different personalities for that. And then there's like you. So then there's get to talking with them and get to know them. And then through liking them, then you find common ground. And then there's after that is trust, where they give you an opportunity or schedule an appointment to sit down with you. I would say the most important thing, especially in a market like this, are leads, correct? Leads. So forever we're waiting for leads to just follow. They just came in and then we would just wait for the leads to come in. That's not how leads work. That's how it works in a moment in time where things are really good and you're in the right place and the right position and the right job and you're the right person. In reality, you have to be making more outbound phone calls than anything. And especially in my business. So those were folks that all they did were refinances in my business. They're in a world of hurt. I'm talking to people throughout the country every day they're changing careers, they're going another direction, because they just have a problem with that initial prospecting and relationship building. The one thing that I've realized, and this took me years and I was really, really bad at doing it, it's making sure that everyone knows who you are and you take advantage of an opportunity. There are so many opportunities, and we've talked about this in the previous classes, from HR to accountants to CPAs to divorce attorneys. These are people that have consistent leads. And when we look at, let's say, 2,000 homes closing in Orange County any given month, there's still room for you guys to gain market share. That's all it is. It's not an inventory problem. It's not a market problem. Unless you're closing massive amounts, then it's a market share problem. And that's something I believed for a long time. And if you have that mentality, then you're constantly prospecting and you're constantly having conversations. And then when you get dips or changes in the market, you just turn that up a notch. And so it's massive activity, but without looking at the scoreboard, which is really hard, because I love looking at the scoreboard, meaning you put in a bunch of work and activity, and then you see your results. This is a 90-day delay industry. And even after 90 days, when we're in tougher markets, it can be as much as a 6-month delay industry. And I know so many of us in the room have had relationships for years. It takes years to be able to build relationships, to build trust. And yes, everyone knows other realtors, just like everybody knows other lenders. And you got to really work through that in order to get to the place where it's the right time. You know, when they say the student is ready, the teacher will appear. It's the same thing. When the client is ready, then they will appear as well. So we're going to go through some of these tactics. We're going to do a little bit of table work so you guys can leave here and have a little bit better idea of how to go about doing it. So, and I know some of this stuff's basic, but I see it all the time. You know how many times that I was walking into an open house, looking at open houses, and I wasn't barely even acknowledged. 90% of the time, and I was a valid cash buyer. It was really, really weird to me. But then I realized, and I kind of put myself in that, which is like, hey, JJ, if you go back to your mindset, it's just the fear of rejection. It's the fear of not wanting to put people off. And it's the fear of pissing people off. Then you know that really annoying, loud, boisterous salesperson that talks to everyone and does this. That's why they're the top producing salesperson, just so you know. Because they talk to everyone, they engage with everyone, they irritate a large percentage of those people, but at least they're getting in front of a large percentage of people. So the small percentage that like them and are engaged by them and go, wow, this person's got work ethic, he's tenacious or she's tenacious, that's why they get so much of the business. I always wondered that. And it doesn't mean that you have to naturally be that way, but you can have tactics and steps to get that way. So identify yourself. Let them know why you are calling. and why you want the appointment and how it will be mutually beneficial. So these are going to be, in your instances, you guys should be calling people that can give you multiple leads. That goes to REOs, divorce attorneys, all of those business people. If you belong to the Chamber of Commerce, you should be calling every single person in that Chamber of Commerce. They all have employees. They would all love someone to teach them and tell them about real estate, especially now in this particular market. This is where you have to double down. And I will tell you, is it a lot of phone calls and a lot of rejection? Yes. So today I decided to call a bunch of old leads. I'm going to call 100 old leads and re-engage people that either decided they weren't going to do something or they didn't get back to us and they just got still. So these things are like, I don't know, 7, 8 months. And I was 20 calls in before coming here. And I had, how many leads do you think that I was able to warm up that were still willing to talk and do something? Out of 18, I had 5. 5. That's a huge ratio. And it was just like, man, thanks so much for calling. Yeah, I dropped the ball. I'm so sorry. Life changed. My dad got sick. I sold the house. I signed a lease. Cool. When's your lease up? Awesome. 10 months. Seems kind of silly. Like you're renting, paying 100% interest. Let's get you down into the 6s where rates are right now. You know, like, so these are just conversations and then it's re-engaging them. So it's the same thing with business partners and people that you probably have been ignoring. And think, and especially as we start getting into tax season, which is corporate tax seasons in October, and then as we hit the New Year's for January, this is the time to engage those CPAs. They have 500 to 1,000 clients apiece. Those people all need more tax deductions. Those people need to build more wealth if they're financial advisors. So making sure you identify yourself, let them know why you're calling, why you want the appointment, and how it'll be mutually beneficial. And for folks that are like mutually beneficial, it's going to be, not everyone wants something from you. Does that make sense? Like in my business, most of it is people want me to close on time, do what I say I'm going to do, offer as many ways possible so that people can buy houses so you can sell them houses, right? But then there are those places like literally people are willing in some areas to break RESPA laws and they want to write checks back and forth. And in those particular areas, they actually think that this is the only way they do business. It's the most bizarre thing ever. It's not in Orange County that we run into this, but it's in other parts of the state. And it blows my mind. They're like, will you do this? I go, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, that doesn't make any sense. You could lose your license. So, but I think there's that everyone thinks they want something in return. So in that case, what is really the thing that you can offer, especially these services? You can't necessarily offer every single person a buyer or a seller as you guys are looking for the same thing, but you can offer these people referrals to CPAs, divorce attorneys, etc. And so that is going to be, hey, I'm looking for someone who can take care of my clients that I can refer to for CPA services. And I have found my previous CPA I was referring my clients to wasn't taking really great care of them. I just love to sit down 15 minutes and see if we can be in alignment, nothing else. So it's more offering them. I'm a top producing real estate agent. We'll go through the elevator pitch as we have it, but you have just 7-10 seconds to grab their attention and make it captivating. So if I call a new realtor and they go, hey, if you could close a loan in 10 days and offer $1,000 a day to do so, how many more transactions do you think you could have sold the past 2 years? And the answer immediately, I'm going to get people going, well, I don't know. I could have at least gotten at least 5 or 10 different offers accepted. Okay, what's your average commission? Okay, 20,000. That's 60,000 extra bucks. I'd love to sit down. If I can't, by the time we're done talking, make you another $60,000, then, you know, we won't talk again. So you see, it's quick, it's in, it's out, it's value add. Now, you don't want to sell them and tell them everything you do over the phone. Because the reality is the only reason they're going to end up working for you is not your value add. It's because they like you and then they start to trust you as you start sitting down and forming a relationship. So the pitch is just to get in, which is just something to hook them for that appointment and making it a barrier that's super easy and entry for them. And if they're like, well, I don't really have time, no problem. I see her on Main Street. I'll come bring a coffee to you, 5 minutes at your office. Nothing more, nothing less. And those are the meetings where you sit down and an hour later, you're done talking about your kids and all these common grounds that you're finding. When you're doing it with business partners, again, these aren't people that are buying every 3 to 5 years. These are people that are talking to hundreds of people per month, and a percentage of them are buying every 3 to 5 years. So don't try to tell them everything you do, all the services you provide, but let them know, how long you've been in business and what your strengths are. So it looks like this. And this is from my buddy, Dayton Schrader. Dayton Schrader is and has been the #1 realtor in San Antonio, Texas for 20 years. He closes with a team of 5 and 1 buyer's agent, about 500 transactions a year. And he's still closing in this market right now. He's probably going to close about 50 or 60 transactions this month. Dayton is no joke. And if you meet him, you would be like, I don't understand why this guy sells so much real estate. The reality is he's super disciplined. He's super nice. He's super knowledgeable. But the #1 word that I just threw out was disciplined. He's just disciplined. He just does the basics over and over again. So hi, Mr. Barnes. This is Dayton Schrader of Remax Group, of Schrader Group Remax. I've heard a lot of great things about you in the community. I know you're a successful financial planner. I'm a successful realtor. I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee and see if there's an opportunity for us to work together and make some money as a team. Would you be interested in taking 30 minutes to meet me? So a couple things here. Giving them honor is #1 always. Making sure that it's super quick, and an opportunity to work together and make some money as a team. That's the team aspect of it. Does that make sense? I think we overthink these things. This is literally the script that he calls 100 times every single week with the list of 100 people. Some people hang up, say, screw you. Other people be like, yeah, I guess, what's it gonna hurt? Those are the people that you're looking for. So by the time I'm done making 100 calls today, I'll maybe have 25 or 30 people that say, oh, okay, yeah, I'd like to talk some more. And then a bunch of people are going to delete my messages or hang up on me or anything else. But that's why the leads are gold, and we have to look at them that way, especially now. If you knew you could have an extra 25 or 50 leads, and that's what sparked me, I said, I have leads, they're old leads. I'll just start calling them. Why not? Same thing. These are relationships that are in your life. You have to start engaging them this way. So how to prospect with a purpose at leveraged events. So you're meeting a ton of people, you're gathering cards, you ever notice you're bombarded with sales pitches a lot of times? So the holiday Christmas party is probably the OCAR Christmas parties is the best way to describe that. But you have to realize, well, why aren't you doing that same thing? You have to understand, a lot of those people that are in title escrow and stuff, they make $750,000 to $500,000 a year. So they may be bugging the crap out of you, throwing you sales pitches, but they're still making really good money. So what can we learn from those people? And it's learn their tenacity, learn they're unafraid, learn they're unapologetic, going up and doing their job and putting themselves in the right situation. Why wouldn't they go to the OCAR Christmas party where there's a bunch of potential people that can refer them business? Does that make sense? So I think really being more intentional. We have the fastest, we do this great, we see our friends, we want to talk to, and they go on and on. I will tell you that what I like to do is get in and get out. I'm awkward in those social situations with random people that I don't know. Once I get to know folks, and it's easier for me, and that's who I've been since I was a kid. So I will typically find 10 or 15 of the best dressed people in the room. I will ask for their cards and I will follow up with them. Why the best 10 dressed people in the room? And look at me, I don't dress like the 10 best people in the room. So I'm an anomaly. When people take the time to dress at that high of a level, they either haven't made it and want to, or they have. It doesn't mean that you can't dress. So I'm not judging. This is how I dress because I just like to be comfortable. And if you judge me, well, then shame on you. But it's okay. I flip that script and I look at it as, hey, if I were not lazy and I were different and I wanted to dress for success, is that a fact? If you referred me a high-end client, sure as shit, I'm not dressing like this when your high-end client comes in. I know what that is, and I'm going to dress appropriately. So I look for that, and I have found that people that are like that, it just makes it a lot easier. Doesn't mean that that's the rule. So you got to tell the person you're meeting who you are, what you do, name of your company, what you're looking for, and your bait. Why they should talk to you, why they should meet with you, and why they should refer you. And I think this is where we get stuck, which is crazy, because they're like, why us? And you're like, because I'm me. And you're like, all right, cool. That works for friends and family, but that doesn't work for random people. And the more random people you have, then the more leads you get and the more you're going to win. Keep in mind, look at your database of past clients. Most all of them are probably random people. If you had 100 people in there, maybe 20%, 25% friends and family. The rest are randoms, referred or came this way or saw a sign or you ran into them. So the elevator pitch looks like this. Hi, I'm Dayton Schrader. I'm the owner and founder of the Schrader Group at RE/MAX, a residential real estate company in San Antonio. Pride myself on 30 years experience. If you know someone who could use real estate services, we're looking for buyers or sellers in the market to move their transactions forward in this crazy market. Can I get your card, visit you, or call, set appointment, you see if we might be able to do some business together. So it's the same thing. It's quick. Now it seems like this is kind of boring, but you have to understand, usually this is skipped. So if you think it's boring, if you knew Dayton, Dayton's kind of boring, unless you get to know the guy and then he's like 68, I think he's almost 70 now, but he's one of my best buddies. And on face value, he's not all that exciting of a guy. Okay, so if you are going to be different, well, then you can write your own elevator pitch and be ready with something that's different instead of being ready for nothing at all. So how many times do you think in a given month there's an opportunity for you to engage somebody and you don't engage them about your services? Roy, how many times a month? Every day?
Yeah.
Every day?
Yeah.
Right. So like literally you got your badge on and you have your badge on so people will engage you.
My goal is to pass out 10 cards a day.
10 cards a day, that's a fantastic goal. Something as simple as that is, hey, I'm just going to pass out 10 cards a day and introduce myself. This is where we're missing the minutia. And if Fannie Mae's right and rates go back into the 4s, cool, there's going to be less realtors in the marketplace for sure. Like we're expecting about 30 to 35% less licensed mortgage bankers in the industry. That's probably pretty close to there already, but that's not going to be enough. There's a lot more of you than there are of us. So the competition is going to be fierce and high. And so as the more people that know, like, and trust you as things change, the more that you're going to be able to get that referral. This is just so you can get the appointments, so they can get to know you and be like, man, that JJ guy, we had more in common. He liked cars. He likes social distortion. He's got 2 teenage daughters. I feel sorry for him. I don't have teenage daughters yet. I might be able to learn something, right? Like this is where it all goes. And then if I follow up properly afterwards, then a relationship can form. And then it just turns into a natural relationship over time. But you can't force a relationship, but you can't expect it to automatically happen either all by itself. Cool. All right, where is the, all right, we're going to go to the end because I wanted to get there. So you can change your bait to fit the situation, but the script remains the same. So if you're meeting a seller, I'm a great marketer. I sell 99% of the initial asking price. I'm a top negotiator. If you're meeting a buyer, I'm going to negotiate the best deal for you and work with your lender so it seems seamless, top negotiator. And if you're in a meeting with human resources manager, you offer a free lifestyle tour if they're bringing a prospect from out of the area. I think those are big misses. HR, especially at some of the larger corporations, every single one of your clients that has a job that's not self-employed has an HR director. Like my HR director is like one of my best friends. Like she literally is in charge of 12,000 employees nationwide. If you wanted an introduction, she would literally hands down go on a Zoom with you and talk to you all day long and say, no problem, I'd be happy to plug you in because of that relationship. I always find it funny because I say this every time and no one actually hits me up. Think about that. And we're in the top 10 largest mortgage companies, but there's bigger mortgage companies, there's bigger companies all over, there's tech companies, there's all kinds of stuff that are around here to give lifestyle tours. And the only reason that you want to move here and pay the ridiculous taxes and housing prices and HOA dues and everything else is for one reason: lifestyle. Fair enough? Even the weather's going to shit around here, pardon my French. Like I was like, what? We're losing the weather too? Like, oh, they're going to add a weather tax to make sure it stays good again. Never take no for an answer. It's not if, but when. So one of the things that I throw out is whether it's 6 months or 6 years, we're here to help. Like, I just want to give you informed advice. I want you to ask questions. I want you to engage an expert, because a computer can't tell you that, but 30 years worth of experience can offer you a lot of the help. So it's just putting those things into your pitch so it naturally comes out, and you want things that are going to be thought-provoking. But don't ever take no for an answer. When they say no, Then you ask another question to just uncover the why. And if you don't know, like, then just ask why. Well, I like renting. Why? Like, people say that I'm perfectly comfortable in my home. Are you renting? Yeah. Well, why are you perfectly comfortable in that home? Well, because it just is too expensive for me to buy a home right now. I hear rates are too high. Do you know what your rate is on your lease? No, it's 100%. It doesn't get any higher than that. I do that all the time. They're like, I've never thought of it that way. And that's why I'm talking to you. My want and will is to help you create wealth. The number one wealth accumulator in the United States is real estate. If you could go back to the Great Recession, do you know the Great Recession? You all heard about, like, that was crazy, right? Mortgage meltdown. Let me look at what your house was worth then. And I will go right on there and go, bing. And if you bought the house then, this is what it would be worth now. They're like, well, what about before? What if I paid for it before? I'm like, let's go back 2 more years. This is what it was before. And I show them that. I'm like, does stock market scare you? They're like, yeah, I don't know. And then I'll go back and show them that. I said, this is a buy and hold asset. If you want to get rid of it, you can become a real estate investor. There's so many different things that you can do with real estate, but understand it's fear, and it has to be, there has to be conversation, and you guys have to do really a lot of provoking on that. So prospecting with a purpose. So you want to target, like, I said, the 10 best dressed people. I would tell you that a lot of the financial planners, maybe not CPAs, but financial planners, you're going to find maybe mortgage bankers, attorneys for sure, and investors. These are going to be people that you're going to kind of eyeball and look for, and just asking them about what they do. So what do you do? Why are you here? What brings you here? And then they're going to tell you exactly what they do. You're always going to be able to insert yourself into the conversation. If it's with business people, you don't necessarily have to ask them about their house. You can ask them, hey, have you ever involved yourself in real estate investments before? And just ask them that. Business people like to talk about business and investments. So if you break the wall and the barrier down, no, I haven't really. Well, do you own currently? Then you can segue right into their house of where they are currently as well. The VRBO network, if you buy properly with luxury VRBOs, we're finding it's triple netting about 20 to 25% return right now, which is a really great return. So it's like hard to ignore those facts regardless of the interest rate. So even if rates go up 3%, I'm leveraging the investment and my return's 25%. I'm okay with the 22%, 23% return as well, since it's a leveraged investment. So these are those conversations you can have, but you have to find them and you have to ask questions and you have to introduce yourself to them before doing that. So when they come in, beeline to them and introduce yourself. So if you're going, do a little preparation before these leveraged events. See who's supposed to be there and who's going. Use Facebook, use the internet to start finding some of the key players that you want to engage and go after them. No different than if you're a big realtor and then the lenders know exactly who they are trying to go after. It for the sake of the time and you're in a big room. But go to or sponsor a real estate or a attorney convention or a CPA convention or anything like that. Anyone ever gone to a CPA or financial advisor convention where they all go hang out? Do you notice how many lenders are at the car conventions, everybody? Like, I want to change the way you have been prospecting, because the past 2 years were fake. And we love like people go, I hate low inventory. No, you love low inventory right now. You love low buyers, or you hate low buyers. You hate low listings, those type of things. I get that. But right now it's like there's so much opportunity to go out and get that. So when they come in, you use your elevator pitch, you exchange cards, and you move on to the next prospect. No one wants to be caught in a 30, 45-minute conversation when they're there to network. You may find that those people, if you go back to them and they've kind of done their thing and you sit at a table and you engage, especially those that are, we've talked on the DISC test, those high eyes, like love to talk and engage with people, which is a beautiful thing. But these are networking opportunities. So it's get in, get out, and then the follow-up is the key. Most people don't follow up. They just don't. They meet them and then they do a lack of follow-up. So if you guys get my cards or you guys get gratitude journals or all of these things or calls for me, that's all just follow-up process, because it's easy to just, like, it's not your job to remember me or who I am or what I do. It's my job to remember that, or have you guys remember that. And it goes both ways for you guys. All right, so everyone has one of these. We're gonna switch gears a little bit. look in your packet. And we're going to create your elevator pitch. And just in case, if number one is really hard for you to fill out, don't worry about moving on to the rest of them. Okay. That's where, meaning if you can't go up and say, I am JJ Mazzo, well, then the rest of them are a moot point from there on out. Okay. Maybe this is why I was single for so long. So take your time. I want you guys to walk out of here with no more excuses. And you can go back and you can tweak it. Number one, who you are, what company you're with, where your office is located, your experience, be brief. No need like I got this degree at this college, that degree. I graduated in 1992. I was alma mater. I was on the cheerleading squad. What's your bait? What's your bait? I think that's the biggest thing. Your bait should be something that's unique. And what is your need? Now, keep in mind, helping other people make money is key. Like if you can help other people make some money, then it's going to be a game changer in the conversation. I'll give you guys an example while you're writing down. I have this product. This is for real estate investors. It requires absolutely no income to qualify. And you're like, wow, that's not good. No, it's fine. It requires 25% down and it requires 12 months payment reserve in the bank. So you got to have some money and sit there, and it's in a foreclosable position. So it's not like the old days. But is this not like, if you could help a bunch of people buy multiple homes, 3, 4 investment properties, which you could use this 4 and 5 times. All they do is use the rent off of the appraisal. And as long as the rent on the appraisal covers the mortgage payment and you have a FICO score of $700 and 12 months in the bank, you qualify for this loan. So would it be easy if you had the down payment to be able to buy 4 and 5 investment properties, cash flow altogether, maybe $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a piece? So when you start showing that your financial advisors and your CPAs, and you start creating cash flow, it's in my best interest. I want to create as much cash flow for your clients as possible so they can take that money and reinvest it back into your investments, because that's what I do. You bring them to me and I want to bring that money back to you to increase your portfolio size. You see, like that, it's rethinking the frame of how you guys and girls can help them by just simply buying real estate itself. And I want to share some baits. So everyone thought I was crazy. We had a meeting today. She's one of the top real estate teams in Berkeley. And you're like, well, how did you meet her in Berkeley? Well, like 10 years ago, one of the buyer's agents came in, put an offer on her property 10 years ago. Was that 2022 or 2012? So and it was a 10-day close with a guarantee. And she's like, she used all kinds of expletives on the meeting today. It was pretty funny explaining our relationship of how much full of crap she thought it was, and I was. And then it didn't end up being the case. And then we became friends, and I've been working with her ever since. All my buddies up there try and get her business. But because of that, that was my bait. And then it was just the execution of the bait. But then it's just the follow-up over that period of time. And so it really made me think, when so many people weren't able to get houses in 12 and 13 and 14, my bait was quick close, do it with a guarantee. So like, that's the same, something you all should be thinking about. Like, what's your bait? Who's got some bait? I told you this was the hardest part. You see, the bait can't just be you. Like, I know when people meet with me, I'm gonna be a certain amount of people that are like, no way. And a certain amount of people are like, I like him. He's genuine, right? But like, it's not going to be enough. Go for it. Extensive. So if we were to take that a step further, if you were to add up all the volume of all your personal real estate investments, as well as all the investments that you've helped people obtain, how many hundreds of millions of dollars would that be? Cool. So 50 to 75 million in investor experience just in the last 5 years. Is that a bait? And my goal is to take that money and create cash flow to put it back with your investments. That's my promise to you. And I'd love to sit down for 20 minutes and just talk about how it is I can increase your portfolio and how you can increase mine. Not a bad pitch for a financial advisor, yeah? And then you start doing the math on cash flow on $50 million, then you can work it back and know how much cash flow the $50 million in real estate roughly would spit out and what that looks like with compounding interest, and use his commission basis of 1.5%. That's what you could be prepared for when you sit down and show him, and he will be blown away and send you as many clients as possible because he's thinking about putting that money back in his pocket. But unless you thought about that, it was just Alex Realtor, good guy, experienced, right? Until you get to that. That's amazing. Good one. Roy?
History of selling quickly and above list, and usually the top sell in that particular area.
Above list, top sale in area. If I'm a seller, I love that. You know, the number one thing that I think that you guys should all be writing down that was put here as a bait is top negotiator. Like, let's be honest. I can Google and figure out how to fill out those damn forms. I can go down and get a real estate license. I've had one for 20 years. I just was going back at the looking at, I've had this thing 20 years and I have to do the continuing education. I'm like, I haven't even used this damn thing once but it's, if you can be a top negotiator and just make my life easy, those are two baits. My job is to make life easy for your clients and to make you look good. I want to be an extension of you. So everyone write down an extension of you. 5-star ratings are great, but it's got to be more like 5-star rating. If there are 10 stars, that's not so great, right? Yeah, you don't know. So it's like, you know, I would say reputation. You know, I have over a decade of verifiable reputation of doing these things. So verifiable, repeatable reputation. In which case they're going to just Google your name. So you want to make it so if you Google the name that boom, they just pop up, and it should automatically pop up when you do that. But really the two other bait points are why. So if you can only come up with 2 baits, then your third one is I have over a decade of verified results and a reputation, which also helps get your offer accepted. That's a big one. Like, no kidding. Like, I get offers accepted all the time just because it's on our letterhead and they trust that it's going to close. Like, you don't want to gamble. Like, if you like, it's, and you're going to tell your seller makes the decision, but you're like, hey, this guy, I have no idea, but their company doesn't look like they close on time very often, but this guy is a sure thing. We hear and we use them all the time, or we have clients that use them all the time. So reputation's a good one. What else? Area expert. Area expert is a bait if you're talking to someone in a particular area. So I would, if you're going to business people, then an Orange County expert. Orange County, because again, these people aren't going to necessarily just be in whatever your marketplace is. We've got to think bigger so that we can obtain more general. And that's the issue. Like, if there's 2,000 homes, let's just narrow it down to South Orange County. Therein lies the issue. And when you're farming, it's great. Like, you become that area expert, but right now there aren't enough houses. So you've really got to be, you have to have a bigger market area. And that doesn't mean that it can limit you to a particular state or county. It limits you by whoever it is that your referring partners are sending to you. And not to mention, even if they send them to you out of state, there's referral fees in those. Like, that's still, you can still get 25% just referring them out all over the place. So if you had a 50-state referral network to take really great care of them, would they not want to refer you a ton? And could you find someone in all 50 states to refer this to? Pretty easy. If not, call me. I'll be happy to hook you up. Like, these are like, I really want us to put more thought into this. It is so important. Like, really sit down there and go, wow, that would be a bait. So if you're not sure, then maybe go and interview your past 5 listings and your past 5 buyers. What do you think made me such a great realtor? What do you think my biggest value add is to you? And you'll probably start seeing a trend of, well, you got us a price that was way better than we expected. You keep finding us unbelievable investment opportunities, and all of your reputation exceeded itself when we actually sat down and came through on the transaction. So it's like you only have a few seconds to get all of this, all of the years of experience and negotiations and all the deals and the bumps and the bruises to get their attention. Then you can sit down and start peeling that onion back with them. But really, you just have to get them to like you a little bit in there. And I've had that. Like I had this meeting with the CEO, and it was like, I think we both got off the phone and we're like, I don't think we'll ever talk to each other again. It was just, we were two different people that just weren't aligning in this particular. It just was what it was. I don't think he was a bad guy. I don't think he thought I was a bad guy. Just we weren't going to be those guys together, and that's okay. But you have to go through these things over and over. Cool. If you didn't finish this, this is everything. This is so important. It's what's stopping you from closing an easy 4 deals a year just by having this down, going to some leveraged events, speaking with the people, and making sure you're engaging them when you see them. Let's see, this is the same thing. So I pride myself in 30 years in the industry, serving residential clients, providing great, excellent service. Like I told you, sounds kind of boring. You see, like, but it works. The difference is Dayton uses this with everyone all the time. He's closing a boatload of deals all the time. Cool, follow up. It's all about the accountability. Initial contacts are important. They'll change your business, but we have to prospect constantly to stay in front of them. You don't know if you're succeeding or failing unless you have something to measure it by. True?
Yep.
And I think so many times we think we're winning when we're not, and it's all and we have a little more gas in the tank. This week I chose to make 100 outbound phone calls every single day, Monday through Thursday, knowing that I still had 3 or 4 events to do, knowing that I had all of these other things that I needed to do, just to see if I still had it in me. And not because I had to, but because I wanted to. And it proved something to myself that I wasn't working hard enough. So things are slowing down. I don't feel like I'm working as hard as I should. Now, after this week, probably won't have a voice. I'll remind myself it's not something I have to do all the time, but it's something I can pull out anytime that I want. And so the greatness tracker is what we do. So I'm doing, everyone can see exactly what this looks like. I'm doing a double greatness tracker this week because when I started my business from nothing, like I didn't know anybody, I did 2 of these a week because I was just in a desperate situation. Then I asked myself, I was like, wow, I really worked hard when I was in a desperate situation. Like, so you ever notice that when you're back up against the wall, you work like I do. When I'm under pressure or put my back against the wall, I don't freeze, I act. But some people will freeze. But I was like, I really would rather not be in that desperate situation anymore, but I'd really like to still react the same way. That's what started me to think this way of doing a double greatness tracker. Plus, if we're doing the activities we once were and getting less results and doing twice the activities to get the less or same results, I'm okay with that. At least it's something within my control itself. So 10 face-to-face meetings, 3 breaking breads, 75 great outbound phone calls, 2 events per month, sending videos of 500 videos per month, prospecting 25 hours a week, sending 20 thank you cards, and the goal is 10 leads per week. Is this a fair week if you've got 40 or 50 hours that you're working? Like, is this a fair ask? I mean, the videos are easy. Showing up to do events per month or holding them are pretty easy. Thank you cards are really easy. So 75 great phone calls. I find it really weird that folks have such a hard time doing this when I was able to knock out 115 yesterday. And it took me 4 hours to do it. And yes, I had 36 conversations. It was, the difference was I was disciplined. We went back to that thing about Dayton. So I wasn't always disciplined. I was the least disciplined. Look at me. I was the least disciplined person on the planet. But now I've just found that, well, distractions stop me. People stop me. Emails stop me. So I just removed all of the distractions. I had a list. I had the time and nothing else to do. And I just started calling. And then I would make sure that if I was on the phone call and there was someone at home that was just talking too long, then I would make sure that I would put a timer on it. I mean, I'm not going to talk more than 10 minutes on a particular conversation. And then you kind of wrap it up respectively. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you're talking for 45 minutes. That doesn't make this doable. But 75 great phone calls, you can do this. Just don't do it because you, like, if your back's against the wall, have that same mentality. So I gave you guys the prospect process plan, beginning to end, that's in this packet for you guys. Identify the prospect, enter the data into your CRM, mail merge with an appropriate letter, modify proof printer, print letter and envelope and top producer, handwritten note and signature by yourself, follow up in 3 to 4 working days for an appointment, confirm the appointment 24 hours in advance, have the meeting, follow up thank you note, set a why or why not meeting. That's just over like why or why not working with you. Then a follow up note after that. Then set up the I show, they show meeting. That's with you working with them. Follow up note, set up an agreement meeting, meaning we both agree to do this in this relationship. Follow up note, and you can execute an agreement plan, team leader, which would be you guys. Like this whole 16-step process, I'm giving like, so you can have an overview and really look at it, and you don't have to do all of these things at once. And this is kind of a class all in its own. But I want you to see that it's really just the whole process that he has planned out from one of the top realtors every single time he meets one person. So does it make sense in looking at this when he's meeting with people, why he has so many people referring him 20, 30, 40 clients? Like he has people, I think he said he had at least 30 or 40 people that refer him over 30 or 40 transactions a year. And I was like, well, who are they? He's like, well, they're CPAs, investment people, divorce attorneys. They've always got people. So imagine if you could just have 1 or 2 of those people. Wouldn't it be more fun than door knocking or dropping mailers and spraying and praying? Like isn't it a little bit easier? But is face-to-face rejection fun? Not really. It's ego check. It's lots of ego check. Trust me, I hate, like, it is not fun. I don't like to be rejected. No one likes being rejected, but I love the check. And I realize most people aren't willing to go through massive amounts of rejection to get the check. So it's just a choice. Otherwise, and it's just a matter of a choice. It's a matter of discipline, and it's a matter of having a plan. So I gave you guys the time to create the script so people have a better idea of what your bait is, because just us is not enough. I gave you the plan so you have the plan to execute it. You can simplify it down to 4 or 5, but just having a plan makes the difference. And then it's just a matter of going out and executing the plan, having as many conversations as possible. And that's what I do. Like if I when I fill my greatness tracker out at the end of the week, I actually circle each person that I talk to every time I ask for the business. So I can look down and go, wow, cool. This is a productive week. So even, you know, sometimes you don't see it or you don't feel it, but when you look down, you're like, man, I met with all these people. I talked to all these people. I told all these people what I did. I set all these appointments. I set all these thank you cards out. I send all these thank you gifts out. Then you feel accomplished because we're on 100% commission. We don't get paychecks every 2 weeks like everybody else. It just doesn't work that way. So staying with the activities is going to be key. If you don't stay with the activities, then it's going to be target. Fair enough? Questions? What do you guys think the biggest problem or hang up is with doing this? Roy?
When you're talking to 100 people, what system are you using? Excel spreadsheet, notepad? How are you able to document what the result of everything is?
So I use they're actually based out of Ladera Random. We use a program called Phone Burner. And yeah, so I can put every single one of my lists in there. I can grab it on my phone, and here are the list of A's, B's, past clients, each month they closed, random people that I met, and it goes in there, and I can just select all of them, and it'll call them, and I can either leave a personal message or not a personal message. I can record something. So some of you will get personal messages, some not. It just depends on maybe the last time we spoke. But it saves me about 45 minutes in a 4-hour session, because as it's leaving a message, it's calling the next number for me. Phone burner, phone burner, phone burner. Yeah. And I love it because it just organizes everything. Everything's in there, and you can make notes. You can click a button. It sends an email with a video attached to it. But any CRM that's going to organize your data and allow you to efficiently call through it is the key. Like there's no way I'm going to be able to call 100 people unless I'm able to organize it. And then I have my paper list right here so I can look at the notes and everything else. So I'm not trying to it's not like a 5-line dialer or a robo dialer or anything like that. It's really just a good solid. And then if it is a message, it'll be more like, hey, it's JJ. I was just trying to reach out, review your loan terms with you. Give me a call when you have a sec. I appreciate it. So it's very oh, okay. And then people will return the call. Good question. Anybody else? Highly recommend Phone Burner. It's pretty reasonably priced. All right, cool. 2 programs. I called my head underwriter, national head underwriter, and asked him what are the 2 products right now that are helping realtors sell the most real estate. They had given me this, which is the real estate investor cash flow program. And right now, real estate is a great way to offset inflation. And then the other is our 95% loan to value jumbo loan, no PMI. So
Any max loan amount?
no, and we will look. So these are all in-house products. So exceptions can be granted and there's no limits, but figure average loan amount, it's not going to be over 2 million on that, on the 95. And then we do have a 3% down jumbo, no PMI, but then because of points and stuff, it goes into high cost. It don't make sense. So the 5% down does make sense. And I think that puts people in a better situation. So at least, again, it's just about taking the excuses, the reasons why not to buy. And if they say the rates are too high, remember, they're probably paying 100% already, and they're not getting any appreciation. They're not getting any tax breaks. So work through those. Lots of people are buying real estate right now. It's just typically people that are more avid investors and know this is just a temporary thing right now.
About that 2-1 buy down.
The 2-1 buy down is great. We're still offering that, and it's just they get a 2% lower rate for the first year, and then 1% the next year, and then it goes to a fully amortized rate. But I think that there'll be 100% chance of refinance in the next 6 to 8 months, and Fannie Mae agrees with that as well. Yeah. The only reason they're up is inflation. As soon as inflation starts going the other direction. So we saw a big increase today because inflation was a little higher. As soon as they go, oh, inflation was a little bit better than we thought, then our rates are tied to the 10-year treasury. So they go down as fast as they go up. But the stability of that, we'll start seeing that happen sooner than later. And not all of them are doing the buy down program, but what the builders do is the builders offer $10,000, $15,000 to just do the loan, and they apply that towards points and do a one-time long-term buy down. That's all it is trying to get people the lowest monthly payment. So the builders are writing checks right now, as they have been in the past, but they're going to write checks to make sure they can get that inventory sold, right? So if you have a house you're going to make 300, 400,000 in net profit on, then you'll write a check for 15 grand to make sure that you're not sitting on it. That's kind of their thought process on it. Cool. I appreciate you all coming. As always, how I feed my family are clients that need talking to. So if you please just let me know anyone I can personally talk to this week, whether it's 6 months or 6 years, and then let us know about the seminar as well. And then most importantly, next week, if you push this QR code, then you guys can sign up too, but it'll fill out pretty quick. And then I'll give my buddy Woody here with the Marispec.
Now it's time for my day. So my name is Justin Woodson. I'm with the Untitled Chapter, and along with my I'm real happy to be here today. Little bit about us, it makes it different. Our business is we've actually been in business for 35 years, almost 35 years now. And in those 35 years, we've actually performed over 150,000 home inspections in Orange County. So we bring a lot of experience to the table. Some other things that kind of differentiate us from our competition is one of our training. In California, there's no licensing for home inspectors. So really anyone in this room tomorrow can say, I want to be a home inspector, and grab a flashlight and away you go. So a lot of people will certify their guys, but what does the certification mean? My certification means they have to go from the 4 to 6 months of training with a master inspector, 3 jobs a day, 5 days a week. And not only are they learning what to look for, but they're also learning how to talk. And I think that's equally as important in our line of work as what we're looking for, because there's a lot of different ways to say the same thing. And our guys truly understand their role in the transaction process. We are not there to be deal killers. We understand the buyers are happy to buy their house. They're excited. We want them to continue to be excited. We don't want to be the scary guy that comes in.
We point out the good and the bad, and our guys understand that. Also, I stand behind our work. What does that mean? Because if I go, if one of my guys goes out and thinks he should, and I didn't see something that's within our standards, I will replace or fix the questions asked. And obviously, it's a case by case basis, but we really make sure that the client and you guys are really taken care of at the end of the day. And I'm able to do that because I am a larger home inspection company where the independent guy might not have the ability to do that. And then our customer service. I know you guys don't sit up at night and what my home inspector do for me today, but we truly try to partner with you, make you guys' lives easier. If there's anything that I can do to help, use me as a resource. They just call me all the time and say, listen, the home inspector said this, what do you think? And I'll be able to answer questions or even call people whatever. I'm here to help. That's what I'm here for. Our territory runs from Long Beach, and we just purchased the San Diego territory. Now we're from all the way to the border. So if you're selling anywhere in here, in the Southern California area, we're able to help you. New services that we're providing is sewer scopes. That's another big thing that's just kind of coming out. One of my best friends was just buying a house in newer construction, 2014, and we were debating on whether to have the sewer done. And I'm like, you know what? Just do it. And figures my buddy, my guys in the area. We ended up finding like $6,000 problem. So we're and so every inspection, they get that. It's nice service. No other company out there providing this, that type of service right now. I really appreciate your time. Any question that I come with? Thanks so much.
Profile, how to, sell yourself and quite bullet points and rate,
Did I do what it said? All right, yeah, that's fine. It is.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much. My part's on the table.
So I used to work for Woody Parish when I was like 18, 17 years old before I got hired.
Back when my parents started, our claim to fame back then was a printed report because everyone else had handwritten reports. So we would type out the report and then JJ would have to deliver them to the real estate office. So he'd drive around, they've already been offices and deliver.